Harry, how does the man?
The false. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream. Change has come to America.
Believe it.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
Mr. President.
You're talking about 2 million people.
You're not President as the moderator. I'm the moderator of this debate, and I would like you to let me ask my question.
I'm not here to call out his lies. Everybody knows he's a liar. And by the way, maybe you could inject some bleach in your arm, and that would take care of it. This is the same man.
That was said sarcastically,
that was
you know that. You graduated last in your class, not first in your class. You graduated either the lowest or almost the lowest in your class. Don't ever use the word smart with me. In 47 months, I've done more than you've done in 47 years. You talking about Hunter? Are you talking about Hunter?
I'm talking about my son, Beau Biden. You're talking about
I don't know Beau. I know Hunter.
Yeah,
Hunter got thrown out of the military.
You're the worst president America has ever had.
A radical left.
Will you shut up, man?
Listen.
Will he just shush for a minute? It's hard to get any word in with this clown.
His final question.
The final question is, I can't remember which of all his rantings.
I'm having a little trouble myself. You know, if you want to switch seats, we could
very quickly.
We can do that. But when a president, I'm going to ask a question.
And this guy,
I want to see an honest ballot count.
Gentlemen, you say that's the end of it? This is the end of this debate?
Honest ballot count.
We're going to leave it there.
Oh my God, everybody! Oh my God! I needed to boil my body after that. I felt abused, is what I felt. There was absolutely no discussion of what Donald Trump would do in a second term at all. No one could learn anything at all, except that Donald Trump is a person who denies reality. Last night, you know what Donald Trump was really debating? Reality. He was debating democracy. He debated his own CDC. He debated his own FBI. He debated Chris Wallace. He debated dead Beau Biden. He debated everything. The man is a monster, and everybody got to see that he is a monster. He was like a wounded animal. Now, you got to say the truth here that Joe Biden will not go down in the Hall of Fame of debaters, okay? So a 77-year-old Joe Biden, who will not go down in the Hall of Fame of debaters, was able to literally kick Trump to the curb. Can you imagine what world leaders are doing to Donald Trump? Can you? And you know, the whole world watched that last night. The whole freaking world. And that's all I could think of. All I could think of was our allies watching this, our enemies watching this, and knowing that we have a deranged lunatic as president of the United States. And people want to debate, did Chris Wallace screw it up? Did this one? You know what? Honest to God, the only thing Chris Wallace could have done to keep some sort of oh my God, the Commission on Debates is now reviewing its rules going forward. They're trying to figure out how they're going to fix the rules so that Donald Trump can only speak when he spoke. Should they turn the mics off? Let me tell you something. The only thing that's going to stop Donald Trump from debating reality and the moderators and the people who show up at the next debate who are, it's a town hall format, is if you brought a tranquilizer gun, okay? Because he's a wild, wounded animal, this man. He looked like it. He sounded like it. He was lying. It was a volcano of lies. It was a tsunami of lies. It was a fire hose of lies. I've never heard so many lies. The fact checks they weren't that hard because Donald Trump tells the same damn lies over and over and over again. And remember yesterday I told you I could give you tomorrow's news today? And I told you exactly what he was going to lie about because he has a disinformation campaign going on here. He is lying on purpose. This isn't just, on the spot, he forgot a number or he mixed up two numbers or he doesn't understand that we had the last Republican, in office crash the economy. And when Obama and Biden came in, we were, down 10%, and John. No, this is a thoughtful campaign of disinformation. This is literally a chaotic, on purpose effort to disinform and to make people doubt the validity, the legitimacy of the election, the legitimacy of Joe Biden, the legitimacy of everything Joe Biden has accomplished in his 47 years. I mean, the list is endless on what Joe Biden was able to accomplish. You know, and then they talked about justice reform and all that. Nobody ever retorts. But when Obama was president, he had 2 justice reform bills. Mitch McConnell tabled them both. But then Obama took executive action and changed the penalties for crack and powder cocaine, and was able to release like 83,000 people from federal prison. Nobody ever brings that up. You know, but you got to give it to Biden because, honestly, yes, he was shaky. I get it, but he still kicked Trump's ass all over that stage last night and let Donald Trump show himself for what he is, a white supremacist who lies like a dog, who is lower than the spit on the belly of a snake when it comes to COVID and taking care of the American people. He just doesn't give a damn. He couldn't care less. He did absolutely nothing. You know, this China ban, we all know that's a lie. I told you he was going to tell that lie. The first thing you need to know is COVID was already here when he made an attempt at shutting down some travel from China. It was already here. And people left China and came to the United States. 44,000 of them after the ban. And the European ban didn't come for months later, and that's what infected New York. So, you know, just let's get some facts out of the way. It started out really badly. It started out with the court, and he lied and said, Roe v. Wade isn't on the ballot. How do you know it's on the ballot? How do you know? Because you said so. Because you freaking said so. Holy crap. I mean, honestly, this is what this is that exchange.
The president also is opposed to Roe v. Wade.
Yeah.
That's on the ballot as well in the court. And so that's also at stake right now. And so the election is already
begun. You don't know it's on the ballot. Why is it on the ballot?
Because
why is it on the ballot? It's not on the ballot.
It's on the ballot in the court.
I don't think so.
In the court. Well,
there's nothing happening there.
Donald, would you just
don't know her view on Roe v. Wade.
Okay, here he is.
Do you want to see the court overturn Roe v. Wade?
Well, if we put another 2 or perhaps 3 justices on, that's really what's going to be. That will happen.
Just saying. And it started that way. And then you realize there's going to be no truth here. There's going to be no explanation of what a second term of Donald Trump, you know, what he has in mind for you, or what he's going to do on COVID, or what he's going to do on climate change, or what he's going to do on white supremacy being the second infection, this division in this country, this racial strife. You know, the country is on fire. The country is literally on fire. You've got a pandemic, okay, sweeping the nation. You have over 206,000 dead people, 7 million infections. We're the worst in the world. And you knew you weren't going to get any truth after something like that. But it turned into what exactly CNN got right last night. Dana Bash actually said it out loud. And they're on cable, so she could say these words. They just don't. Because people who use endless profanity usually have nothing to say. Okay, but she had to call it for what it was, and she called it a crap show, except she was able to say it. I'm not, because I comport with all FCC regulations. But that's what it was, and it was offensive to the American people. No one got to learn one damn thing. If you wanted to learn about Joe Biden, you didn't get a chance because he talked over him endlessly. If you wanted to learn about Donald Trump's second term, you got to learn absolutely nothing. You learned nothing about what he's going to do on COVID. You learned nothing about his view. Well, you learned he won't condemn white supremacists. You learned that. And by the way, even Fox News commented last night or this morning. They said, why won't he condemn white supremacy? Why? It's his calling card. That's what keeps his base glued to him. The ever-shrinking base. The Al-Qaeda. The base. That's what the attraction is.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
hate crimes in the U.S. jumped again.
The El Paso attack was the deadliest at the hands of a white supremacist in half a century.
One of the largest upticks in the history of hate crime reporting.
Knock the crap out of him, would you?
The suspect yelled the word Trump as he hit the East African man.
Part of the problem is nobody wants to hurt each other anymore.
More than 50 criminal cases where Donald Trump was explicitly invoked in relation to violent acts.
When you see these caravans, this is an invasion.
A racist manifesto posted claimed this attack is a response to the Hispanic invasion of Texas.
The president and his words appearing in scores of police reports and courtrooms.
The irresponsible rhetoric of our president, who has used the pulpit of the presidency to divide us by race and color, has made America a more dangerous environment than, frankly, I have ever seen.
The American PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Seriously, we all know where the threat of violence is coming from in this country, and it is coming from white supremacists. It is coming from people who are responding to Trump's rhetoric. And this conversation, where Donald Trump refuses to condemn white supremacy, goes on today. It goes on today. There was more today.
Are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups and to say that they need to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities, as we saw in Kenosha and as we've seen in Portland?
Sure,
are you
I'm
prepared
willing
to
do
specifically
do it?
Well, go ahead, sir.
I would say almost everything I see is from the left wing, not from the right wing.
So what are you saying?
I'm willing to do anything. I want to see peace.
Then do it, sir.
Say it. Do it. Say it.
Do you want to call him? What do you want to call them? Give me a name. Give me a
white
name.
Supremacists and
who would you like me to condemn?
White supremacists and right
Proud
militia.
Boys, stand back and stand by. But I'll tell you what.
Oh, my God.
Somebody's got to do something about Antifa and the left, because this is not a right-wing problem. This is a left-wing.
FBI director
This is a left-wing problem.
White supremacists. Antifa's an idea, not an organization.
Oh, you got to be
not
kidding.
militia. That's what his FBI, FBI director said.
Well, then you know what?
No, we're done, sir.
I mean, he debated his own FBI. Well, then you know what? Chris Wray, he's wrong. He's wrong. El Paso was one of the worst shootings. It was Donald Trump's anti-Muslim hatred when he was running for president. I mean, honestly, he debated his own FBI. He debated his own CDC. He debated the National Institutes of Health. He debated everybody, everything, including democracy itself last night. It's just so unbelievable. Unbelievable. And then he doubled down. Oh, why are you ending racial sensitivity training in federal government departments and agencies? Why are you doing that? Because teaching people about how other people might feel when you use the N-word, or when you start screaming about Muslims, or when you start screaming about Jews will not replace us, might be important. But he says, telling people that is racist.
Your administration directed federal agencies to end racial sensitivity training that addresses white privilege or critical race theory. Why did you decide to do that, to end racial sensitivity training? And do you believe that there is systemic racism in this country, sir?
I ended it because it's racist. I ended it because a lot of people were complaining that they were asked to do things that were absolutely insane, that it was a radical revolution that was taking place in our military, in our schools, all over the place, and you know it, and so does everybody else.
And
he would know.
What is radical
totally
about racial sensitivity training, sir?
If you were a certain person, you had no status in life. It was sort of a reversal.
What?
And if you look at the people, we were paying people hundreds of thousands of dollars to teach very bad ideas and, frankly, very sick ideas. And really, they were teaching people to hate our country. And I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to allow that to happen. We have to go back to the core values of this country. They were teaching people that our country is a horrible place, it's a racist place, and they were teaching people to hate our country.
No one was teaching anybody to hate anything. People were teaching people to not hate, to understand, to have some sort of presence of mind that when you stand there and you rail against Muslims and Jews and Catholics and this one and black lives don't matter and white lives matter, that it's offensive. And it doesn't belong in the workplace. And that the 1619 Project is a real thing that happened. And then he went right into his racist rant about Joe Biden is going to destroy the suburbs. I mean, this is not even a dog whistle anymore. Okay, this is a freaking bullhorn. I'm racist. You can trust me, white working men or white poor men or whatever. It's so sick, and he wouldn't stop. He just wouldn't stop. He just kept doubling down, and the suburbs are going to go if Joe Biden is the president of the United States.
If he ever got to run this country and they ran it the way he would want to run it, our suburbs would be gone. By the way, our suburbs would be gone, and you would see problems like you've never seen.
He wouldn't know a suburb unless he took a wrong turn.
Oh, I know suburbs.
He would not.
So much
Go ahead. Wait a minute.
I was raised in the suburbs. This is not 1950. All these dog whistles and racism don't work anymore. Suburbs are by and large integrated. There's many people today driving their kids to soccer practice and or to black and white and Hispanic in the same car as there have been any time in the past. What really is a threat to the suburbs and their safety is his failure to deal with COVID. They're dying in the suburbs. Hello? His failure to deal with the environment. They're being flooded. They're being burned out because his refusal to do anything. That's why the suburbs are in trouble.
I know nothing.
Seriously, dude, that is why the suburbs are in trouble. They're on freaking fire. We're loaded with COVID cases. The entire universe is integrated. Wow. And he sits there and lectures you about what is racist and what isn't racist, and then he says the most racist thing ever. If they ran the country like they want to run the country, you would lose your suburbs? What is he talking about? I told you. I live in the suburbs, too. The suburbs are completely and totally integrated. Now, I got one of my neighbors, okay? I'm just going to say, one of my neighbors, I was walking my dog, and not last night, the night before, and he says, boy, this neighborhood really has changed. And I knew exactly what he meant. His name's Jeff. I said, what do you mean the neighborhood's changed? Well, no, I don't know. What do you mean? Well, all these new people. I go, Jeff, everybody's really friendly, and at least we don't have those crazy Karens running around our neighborhood. So be very grateful that we don't have these crazy white women running around screaming racial epithets at various neighbors who are more than friendly. Don't you find them friendly? Yeah. Okay, I'm getting eaten by mosquitoes. See ya, Jeff. That's Trump.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
You want to call him? What do you want to call him? Give me a name. Give me a
white
name.
Supremacists and
white supremacists.
White supremacists and right
Proud Boys. Stand back and stand by. But I'll tell you what. Somebody's got to do something about Antifa and the left, because this is not a right-wing problem. This is a left-wing. This is a left-wing problem.
White supremacists. Antifa's an idea, not an organization.
Oh, you got it.
Not militia. That's what his FBI. His FBI director said.
Well, then you know what?
No, we're done, sir. We're moving on to the next. We're moving.
When a bat hits you over the head, that's not an idea.
Everybody in your administration tells you the truth has a bad idea.
Can I tell you what?
You have no ideas.
Antifa is a dangerous, radical
gentlemen,
group.
We're now moving on to the Trump and Biden records.
They'll overthrow you.
When a president, I'm going to ask a question. When the president seeks a second term, it is generally a referendum on his record. But Vice President Biden, you like to quote one of your dad's sayings, which is, don't compare me to the Almighty.
I don't know why that's cut that way. All right, so obviously Donald Trump was debating his own FBI. He debated his own CDC on COVID. I mean, it was But the most offensive moment, I have to say, well, first of all, let me just say, Fox News this morning was very shocked and appalled that Donald Trump did not condemn the Proud Boys or white supremacy.
If you're going to say that President Trump was rude, there was only one person who called the other one a clown, a racist, the worst president ever, and told to shut up. And that was Joe Biden on Donald Trump. But Donald Trump blew the biggest layup in the history of debates by saying not condemning white supremacists. I don't know if he didn't hear it, but he's got to clarify that right away. That's like, are you against evil? Why the president didn't just knock it out of the park, I'm not sure.
Why didn't he condemn evil, right? That's Fox News saying that there. I mean, everybody was saying that there. Everybody. There was not a person, unless you were part of the 3%ers, or unless you were part of the Proud Boys, or unless you're part of the Oath Keepers, or any of the white supremacist groups out there, you knew exactly what Donald Trump had to do last night, and that was to denounce them. That was to tell them to get the hell out of the cities, to stop shooting at people, to stop, egging people on, to stop committing murder and crime and infiltrating Black Lives Matters. You know, we saw that guy in Minneapolis, that guy wearing all black with the umbrella man. I mean, they have been infiltrating all of these peaceful protests, and we've had millions of peaceful protesters, millions. And those peaceful protesters have been infiltrated by looters who are criminals and by violent white supremacists who are also looking to hurt people, looking to beat people up, looking to shoot people, looking to do all kinds of lawless, everything from homicide to breaking windows and making it seem as if it's happening on the other side. They even dress all in black on purpose. When I heard Fox News say that, I was like, okay, so now what is he going to say? What is he going to, you know what he said today? Today, just now? Oh my God. He said he doesn't even know who the Proud Boys are. Let me tell you something. Last night, when the Proud Boys heard the message from the President of the United States to stand by until I call you, they started selling T-shirts on Amazon that said stand back and stand by. Okay, they understand what the president is saying to them. And then all of a sudden today, like all these many hours later, I mean, you had reporters at the White House all morning today, just so you know how journalism works. They were out at the White House all day today, reporters from all over, Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, all these reporters were out there waiting for the White House to make a statement about why he would not denounce the Proud Boys. And hours and hours and hours went by. The morning news cycle went by. The afternoon news cycle went by. Now it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. He finally decides he's coming outside, and this is what he said.
Last night, when you said that the Proud Boys would stand back and stand by?
I don't know who the Proud Boys are. I mean, you'll have to give me a definition because I really don't know who they are. I can only say they have to stand down, let law enforcement do their work. Law enforcement will do the work more and more. As people see how bad this radical liberal Democrat movement is and how weak, the law enforcement's going to come back stronger and stronger. But again, I don't know who Proud Boys are, but whoever they are, they have to stand down, let law enforcement do their work.
He doesn't know who they are? Are you freaking kidding me? He's the president of the United States. He's the chief law enforcement officer of the country. And he doesn't know that his FBI and that the Anti-Defamation League, that the Southern Poverty Law Center, and everybody that follows hate groups have said that the Proud Boys are a hate. He doesn't know that Facebook banned them because they're a hate group. This is the president of the United States of America. He doesn't even know what the threats to Americans are. His FBI director testified that the biggest national security threat the United States faces is not a foreign terrorist group. It is white supremacists inside the United States of America. He doesn't know who they are. He has no idea who they are. I'm sorry, we can't have a president who doesn't know what the biggest threat to peace and tranquility in the United States is. We just cannot have a president that does not know that. And the more he talks, the worse it gets for him. It's so unfreaking believable. And so, Biden today, he responded. He understood. He said this.
What are your fears about the implications of the president's rhetoric? And do you have a message for the Proud Boys today?
My message to the Proud Boys and every other white supremacist group is cease and desist. That's not who we are. This is not who we are as Americans.
How hard is that? How hard is that? A man who will not end up in the Debate Hall of Fame was able to say cease and desist. He was able to figure that out. But the president of the United States does not know who the greatest threat to American security is. He doesn't understand what the FBI knows. He doesn't understand what the Department of Homeland Security has told him. He doesn't know what the Anti-Defamation League has done. He doesn't know what Facebook has done with the Proud Boys. He doesn't have any idea that they're banned because they're a hate group. They're a drunk hate group, too. He doesn't know. I'm sorry, but we can't have a president who doesn't know what the greatest security threat to the United States is. This man just brays and bullies. He is a wounded freaking animal, and a wounded animal is the most dangerous kind of animal, and we knew that yesterday, and we told you he was going to look desperate last night, and he did. And I told you there was nothing he won't do, and there isn't, including giving tacit support to white supremacists on the debate stage last night, and then saying he doesn't even know who they are, when clearly every agency in the United States that is tasked with defending the United States from all enemies, foreign and domestic, says the greatest threat to peace and tranquility in this country is a domestic threat from white supremacist groups. So sorry. And the amount of hostility toward the voters and the voting, I mean, it's insane. And he just lies. It's all a disinformation campaign, and these are Russian talking points.
Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
First for you, sir. Finally, for the vice president, I hope neither of you will interrupt the other. Will you urge your supporters to stay calm during this extended period, not to engage in any civil unrest? And will you pledge tonight that you will not declare victory until the election has been independently certified? President Trump, you go first.
I'm urging my supporters to go into the polls and watch very carefully, because that's what has to happen. I am urging them to do it. As you know, today there was a big problem. In Philadelphia, they went in to watch. They were called poll watchers, a very safe, very nice thing. They were thrown out. They weren't allowed to watch. You know why? Because bad things happen in Philadelphia, bad things. And I am urging my people. I hope it's going to be a fair election. If it's a fair election, I am 100% on board. But if I see tens of thousands of ballots being manipulated, I can't go along with that. And I'll tell you what,
does that mean,
from a common sense,
does that mean you're going to tell your people to take to the street?
It means you have a fraudulent election. You're sending out 80 million ballots. They're not equipped to. These people aren't equipped to handle it. Number one. Number two, they cheat. They cheat. Hey, they found ballots in a waste paper basket 3 days ago, and they all had the name military ballots. They were military.
Okay, the man is lying. Okay, the story in Philadelphia was reported out locally in the Philadelphia Inquirer newspaper, which means most Americans have no idea because they don't read a newspaper. The problem in Philadelphia was a woman who walked into an elementary school not certified by any party, the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, Independent Party, Green Party, no party. And in Philadelphia, since in the state of Pennsylvania, since 1937, seriously, the law requires poll watchers to be certified with a political party. You cannot just roam in and say you're a poll watcher in the state of Pennsylvania. You have to have a certification card. Yesterday, there were no polls open in Philadelphia. What there was elementary schools and other places that were allowing people to come in with masks and social distancing to either pick up a mail-in ballot, apply for a mail-in ballot, fill out a mail-in ballot, and drop off a mail-in ballot. That's what was happening in Philadelphia. These were satellite election offices, which were treated just like if it were City Hall. The ballots could be requested yesterday, they could be completed yesterday, and they could be submitted yesterday. But they will not give someone a poll watcher certificate unless they are with a party and the party applies for the certificate to make that person a poll watcher. You know why he's talking about Philly this way? Because he's losing in Pennsylvania, and Donald Trump cannot win without Pennsylvania. And he's losing 54-45 to Joe Biden. And also, I have to tell you that the state Supreme Court in Pennsylvania had ruled earlier this month, September, against the Donald Trump campaign's request to allow poll watchers to operate in counties other than the county where they're registered to vote. The state Supreme Court in Pennsylvania said, no, you can't do that. And Trump's campaign knows that. They've known of the regulations for poll watchers since 2016. They know what those state laws are. So he just lied about that to create an illusion of an illegitimate election, and he's calling for these lunatic fringe militia idiots to take to the streets to stand by for news. Oh, I don't know who they are. Yeah, he also didn't know who Michael Cohen was. You know, he only worked for me for a short period of time. He also didn't know who Michael Flynn was. Michael Flynn worked for my campaign for a short period of time. He also didn't know who Paul Manafort was. Paul Manafort worked for my campaign for a short period of time. You know, he also didn't know who Roger Stone was. Roger Stone, you know, he doesn't even work for my campaign. I don't know who he is. I mean, this man is literally repeating and taking Russian talking points and putting them to work in our country, to divide this country, to create an illusion of an illegitimate election. It is the most frightening thing I have ever heard in my entire life. It's chilling, actually, when you think about what we may be. And so that's why I'm saying, you know, Joe Biden closed beautifully last night with, you know, listen, this man cannot stop you from voting. He may think he can, but he can't. This man cannot stop you. You need to vote. And you know what? If I win, I'll accept it. If I lose, I'll accept it. And if he loses, he's not going to have any choice. He's just not. And I told you yesterday, the answer to how to get Trump to leave is super freaking ordinary. It's mundane even. It's process. You don't get to go in the White House. Your pass is expired. Melania can't go into the White House. She can't. The bags are packed. They're at the door. You can go wherever you want, but you can't stay here. I'm sorry, Trump staff. You are no longer credentialed. This is not your White House any longer. Oh, no, you can't park your car here. No, I'm sorry, but your parking pass, just like when you are let go from a job. Just like us, okay, where they take away your key fob or your card and you can't get in the building and they deliver you a box and it's got your stuff in it, or sometimes they let you go get your stuff, but always with a security guard. Always with a security guard. Like you're going to steal state secrets, right? That's exactly how it happens to him. No military, no nothing. It's just standard operating procedure. All of a sudden your keys don't work, your card doesn't work, the gate doesn't open, your staff isn't allowed in there, your bags are at the door, all your personal possessions have been gathered up. And you know, there's a whole staff at the White House that does the transition, and they do it beautifully. They do it real quick, as you know. It's like from the morning of the inauguration till the end of the inauguration. That's what's going on in the White House. People's stuff is all being packed and organized, and it's being taken out the door. And that's what will happen here. And that's what Biden was telling you last night. Vote.
Vice President, you go first.
Prepared to let people vote. They should go to iwillvote.com.
Thank you.
Decide how they're going to vote, when they're going to vote, and what means by which they're going to vote. His own Homeland Security Director, and as well as the FBI Director, says there is no evidence at all that mail-in ballots are a source of being manipulated and cheating. They said that. The fact is that there are going to be millions of people because of COVID that are going to be voting by mail-in ballots, like he does, by the way. He sits behind the Resolute desk and sends his ballot to Florida, number one. Number two, we're going to make sure that those people who want to vote in person are able to vote because enough poll watchers are there to make sure they can socially distance. The polls are open on time, and the polls stay open until the votes are counted. And this is all about trying to dissuade people from voting because he's trying to scare people into thinking that it's not going to be legitimate. Show up and vote. You will determine the outcome of this election. Vote, vote, vote. If you're able to vote early in your state, vote early. If you're able to vote in person, vote in person. Vote whatever way is the best way for you, because he cannot stop you from being able to determine the outcome of this election. And in terms of whether or not when the votes are counted, and they're all counted, that will be accepted. If I win, that will be accepted. If I lose, that'll be accepted. But by the way, if in fact he says he's not sure what he's going to accept, well, let me tell you something. It doesn't matter, because if we get the votes, it's going to be all over. He's going to go. He can't stay in power. It won't happen. It won't happen. So vote. Just make sure you understand you have it in your control to determine what this country is going to look like the next 4 years. Is it going to change, or you get 4 more years of these lies?
Simple. Simple, simple, simple. You know why he's dissuading people from voting? You know why he's casting doubt on the election? Because he knows he's losing. That's number one. Number two, these are Russian talking points to sow chaos and confusion, to make people doubt the legitimacy. It appeals to these militia freaks. It appeals to these anti-government types. It appeals to white supremacists. It appeals to Nazis, neo-Nazis, neo-fascists, all of them. So that's why he keeps doing it. And the Russians, I mean, literally are handing him these talking points. There is absolute evidence. The Russian talking points have been received by our intelligence agencies. They have read them to the American people. And then Donald Trump has said them almost verbatim. And he's doing it because elections, the day you vote is the day you have as much power as he does. It's the one day that you have as much power as your congressman, as your senator, and as your president. They fear the people are coming.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
And speaking of my son, the way you talk about the military, the way you talk about them being losers and being and just being suckers. My son was in Iraq. He spent a year there. He got the Bronze Star. He got the Conspicuous Service Medal. He was not a loser. He was a patriot, and the people left behind there were heroes. Really? And I resent.
Are you talking about Hunter? Are you talking about Hunter?
I'm talking about my son, Bo Biden. You're talking about.
I don't know Bo. I know Hunter.
Yeah,
Hunter got thrown out of the military. He was thrown out, dishonorably discharged.
That's not true.
For
it wasn't dishonorably.
Cocaine use. And he didn't have a job until you became vice president. And once you became vice president, he made a fortune in Ukraine, in China, in Moscow,
that is simply
and various
not
other places.
True.
He made a fortune.
My son.
And he didn't have a job.
My son,
that's
like
not
a lot of people, we know at home, had a drug problem. He's overtaken it. He's fixed it. He's worked on it, and I'm proud of him.
But why was he given tens of millions of dollars?
But he wasn't given tens of millions of dollars. That is totally discredited.
We've already been
totally discredited.
We've already been through this. I think the American people would rather hear about more substantial subjects. Well, you know, as the moderator, sir, I'm going to make a judgment call here.
Gets $3.5 million from the mayor of Moscow.
Let's talk about
not true.
Gentlemen,
that report is totally discredited. Mitt Romney on that committee said it wasn't worth taxpayers' money, that report. It was written for political reasons.
You know, I'd like to talk about climate change.
So would I.
That was the most despicable moment I think I've ever seen in any political arena ever. Okay? I have seen, video of, Roy Cohn in action and calling people communists and destroying their lives, even watching people get the death sentence for things they did not do at the hands of Wisconsin senators who were drunks and just miscreants and despicable human beings. But this man currently is the president of the United States of America, and he is clearly the worst person in the world. This is why you don't wrestle with pigs. When you wrestle with a pig, you have to get down in the mud, and the pigs like it. That was the lowest of the low. And I told you Joe Biden would say, we're not here to talk about our kids. We're here to talk about the American people's kids. And he did say that because that is the only thing to say to a despicable, disgusting, horrible, repugnant man. I don't even know if we should call him a man. I don't even know what he is. He is the epitome of evil. He embodies lies. Last night I think on Twitter they were going, what should Trump's epitaph say? And, first I thought we should put, he loved butter. Something like that. And then I realized, no, just hear lies. That's it. He is the embodiment of lies. He is the embodiment of every gross and grotesque thought you ever had, would not put into words, or ever said and wish you could take back. He says it over and over and over and over again. I mean, Joe Biden came off as the wonderful, loving, good dad that he is. Thank God. He addressed the fact that Hunter had a little cocaine. Who in this audience didn't have a little problem with cocaine in the 80s and the 90s? Who in the... I know I did. We're in the middle of an opioid crisis. Donald Trump said he was going to do something about it. He's never done jack about it. Oh, he also said last night, this really peeved me. He talked about insulin, right? And the prices of pharmaceuticals, which he's done zero to decrease. I mean, nothing. You would think that by now he had the majority in the House, he had the majority in the Senate, he had the majority, he's got the White House. And even now with the Democratic majority in the House, anybody who is anybody would vote to give Medicare the ability to negotiate with Big Pharma the price they pay for prescription drugs. Never happened. It won't happen. They're not interested in it. None of these Republicans are interested in it. Okay? And he actually said last night, insulin was so cheap, it was as cheap as water? Are you freaking kidding? Insulin, just so you know, is still $300 a vial, and people who are insulin dependent need multiple vials per week. Oh my God, think pocketbook issues he lied about, things that are easily disprovable by people who actually need this, the cost of insulin to drop. I mean, but that for me, talking about, I don't know your dead son, I only know the live one. I mean, oh my God, holy crap. That was just so bizarre and cruel. It was just, I don't know. I mean, in a normal world, that would have cost him, the election in a normal world. But remember, we have him on tape saying he could grab women by the P word, and that just made men like him more. I don't know who's going to like him more, though, when he trashes, a dead military man who served in Iraq so that he could get a shot at the vice president's son who did nothing. In fact, I tweeted it. I just can't help it. This thing about the mayor of Moscow. Obviously, Donald Trump had business with the mayor of Moscow. What they're accusing Hunter Biden of doing, he didn't do. He didn't do. Let's just say that. There was an equity fund, an investment fund that Hunter Biden started, and then that equity fund was purchased by another group who added the name Thornton to Rosemont Seneca. Beau Biden had nothing to do with Rosemont Seneca Thornton. And I know it's confusing, but that's the name change because the ownership changed, and he had Hunter Biden had nothing to do with it. But anyway, that fund apparently got $3.5 million. I mean, I don't even know if that part is true, but this is the accusation that equity fund got $3.5 million in consulting fees, again, from the dead mayor of Moscow's wife. But Donald Trump and his family actually entered into business deals with the mayor of Moscow while he was alive. So the nerve of him to even bring up the mayor of Moscow is just so bizarre. It was a $175 million deal to redo a hotel in Moscow, which, by the way, never happened. Isn't it interesting that all these things in Russia that Donald Trump pursues have price tags on them, but they apparently never happen? And yet Donald Trump keeps seeing this influx of cash. Maybe it happened, but it was laundered through, I don't know, a bank, a law firm, an equity fund. I mean, exactly what he's accusing Hunter Biden of doing is exactly what Donald Trump has done. You know that. That's why he thinks of it, because he's done it. So there was that, and then there was this attempt, while the mayor of Moscow was alive, there was this attempt to build an underground mall in Moscow. You know, they have subways in Moscow, and so they have a whole underground, system. Their subways are really pretty, I have to say. I've been on them. Very over the top, scrolly things and marble and all that stuff. And they wanted to build a mall. And, of course, they went to Donald Trump. And we know the Moscow pageant happened, right? You know that. And we also know during 2016, they were all trying to build a Moscow tower, Trump Moscow tower. So the nerve of him. And Hunter Biden was administratively discharged because he tested positive for cocaine. So that is the actual story. But to do that, I mean, he waited all night for his little opening there. And when Biden said, how do you call the military suckers and losers? How do you do that? My son was not a sucker and a loser. Well, I don't know, Bo. I only know Hunter. Oh, F you.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
Too many American workers are still out of work and losing hope. Donald Trump fails the most important test of being an American president, the duty to care for you, for all of us. He's unable to explain how it will actually help working families hit the hardest. He's quit on you, and he's quit on this country. But this election is not just about him. It's about us. It's about you. The president's supposed to care, to lead, to take responsibility. This is about something bigger. This is about dignity and respect for working people.
Everybody was saying, Trump was going to need to, change the trajectory last night. He's going to have to show people that the insane, rally Trump is not the president of the United States, that he's got leadership qualities, that he's got judgment, that he has a plan for the next, second term, that he's got a direction for the country, that he's got a way to beat back COVID. He's got a way to... He did none of that last night. He actually proved to every undecided voter that he is a monster, that he is a lunatic, that he's the fringe of America, not America, that he represents nothing, that everybody wakes up in the morning who has kids, that they dress and they feed and they load into the car and they, take them, wherever, school, God forbid school. We don't even have school anymore. I don't even know what to say. I mean, our whole way of life is shattered under this man. Everybody knows it. The polling is desperate for him. It's bad. And you know what? The White House, I could tell you, the White House is freaked out about not just that performance last night, that he changed zero minds. And all that debate was about last night, just so you know, was about 11% of America hasn't made up its mind yet. Everybody else has. And so that debate was supposed to be for the 10%, the 11% who haven't made up their mind. And if that's what he, was offering them last night, I think they've made up their mind. And they know it. They freaking know it. And now they're afraid that Brad Parscale, who had a little meltdown the other day, apparently Brad Parscale is a drunk wife beater. Yeah, he's a drunk wife beater who has guns in the house. And this whole thing started when he put, he had a gun in his hand, and she thought he was going to kill her. So she ran out of the house and called 911. And then she said, hey, he's still in the house. He's got 10 guns. I don't know. He's so drunk. I think maybe he'll kill himself. That's what happened with Brad Parscale. And the reason is because apparently Brad Parscale has been laundering lots and lots of campaign money. Donald Trump donor money. Campaign contributions from, the little people. And they're afraid that Brad Parscale is going to start talking. And that he's going to talk before the election. And that is what White House staffers are telling Vanity Fair. It's what they're telling, what's his name? Gabriel Sherman, who's a fabulous reporter, as you know, that the campaign is still assessing, still assessing the political damage from Tuesday night's chaotic first presidential debate. The president's refusal to condemn white supremacists, of course, is the immediate crisis. Quote, he blew that for sure, a campaign advisor told me. It's nuts, a former West Wing official said wearily, sounding like a storm survivor with PTSD. Quote, total lunacy, said another former White House staffer who remains close to the campaign. I'm guessing that's Chris Christie. Quote, Trump didn't win over any voters, and he pissed off a lot of people, added a prominent Republican. You know who's got to be like so freaking mad? Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell's got a close race in his beloved Kentucky home. Okay, Amy McGrath is basically in a dead heat with him. And Mitch McConnell is now saying he doesn't want to debate her. And check out why. There's going to be a female moderator. And Mitch McConnell said, in all my years, I've never had a female moderator. And oh my God, are they trying to piss off suburban women? Are they trying? Anyway, this goes on. And it says, Trump thinks he won. He didn't. But does anyone have the nads, they say it, to tell him that? No, they'd be fired. And then it goes on to say that they are scared that Brad Parscale is going to start talking about the targeting of African Americans with, there was a whole project to, everybody remember Chris Wiley from Cambridge Analytica and how Steve Bannon had this little app where you decided which person, which Sex and the City character are you if you're a woman, or, well, they were able to get all of this metadata, all of the, like terabytes of psychological profiles that included the race of the voter. And they targeted African American voters to dissuade them from voting, to suppress the vote. And that's the Hillary Super Predator ad that ran on an endless loop in black Facebook users' news feeds. They literally put that in there on purpose to depress the black turnout, and it worked. And that's why Trump brought it up last night. Do you remember? I don't know if you remember that little that little portion of this cluster F that we saw last night. But he actually brought up and he accused Joe Biden of saying you called African Americans super predators. Joe Biden didn't call African Americans super predators at all. And in fact, Joe Biden with Obama, they had created 2 justice reform bills that Mitch McConnell tabled. He wouldn't even take it up. But through an executive order, as I said at the beginning of the show, Obama was able to get a lot of drug criminals out of federal prison. Half of the population of federal prison is drug crime. State's different. State is more violent crime, but federal, right? And they were able to get like 83,000 people released. Donald Trump's big claim to fame on the criminal justice reform is that Kim Kardashian asked him to get a black woman who didn't even deal drugs, she just coordinated the sales, no violence at all involved in this, to get her out of jail, and Trump did it to make her the poster child for I've done more for African Americans than Abraham Lincoln. And so last night he tried to paint Joe Biden as the super predator person again, and it failed miserably because Biden never said that. And in fact, Obama and Biden worked really hard on criminal justice reform and got a lot further than Donald Trump ever will. But the polls look really, really stinking bad. Really, really bad. And that's why they're so desperate. That's why. And now he's afraid that Brad Parscale is going to talk. Oh, my God. So the reason why Brad Parscale had this meltdown is because he is reportedly under investigation for laundering money from the Trump campaign and the RNC, or stealing the money. And if he decides to cooperate with law enforcement and he starts talking, I mean, do you realize he would get Bannon, he would get the kids, he would get Jared, he would get Trump himself?
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
Oh my. So this is what Brad Parscale knows, okay? Here's Chris Wiley. There's a little flashback. Unreal. Fake news. And there was a parliamentary inquiry in England, not here, about this fake news. This is what Brad Parscale knows. This is what Steve Bannon was doing. This is what Cambridge Analytica, the Mercer family, was invested in. This is what Facebook did and allowed. And this is how people got targeted. What we didn't know, but now we do, is also thanks to the UK. They have a channel over there, Channel 4. And Channel 4 has been doing an investigation into what happened in 2016 with the micro-targeting. And what they found was, not only did they know you and all your friends' information, not only did they know where you were and what you were susceptible to and what colors even to put on the ads, which is what Brad Parscale was all about, right? Do you respond to the color green more than the color yellow, or do you respond to reds or blues, right? And they would go out and film content and provide, the Hillary predator on an endless loop and make her look scary if that's what you responded to, and they could tell because you click on it, right? And they could actually see 63 million voters, what they were responding to by whether they shared it, liked it, clicked on it, passed it around. But now we find out that they also had a list of people for suppression, people that they wanted to deter from voting at all. And guess what those people were? Black.
The database is a truly extraordinary insight into the workings of a modern-day political campaign.
It's called America First. Remember that.
For millions and millions of voters, highly personal information was bought, harvested, and used, all perfectly legal under America's data laws. They knew whether you're likely to own a dog or a gun, whether you're likely to get married or planning a baby. There was even a score for personality type. A colossal data set of more than 5,000 tables with nearly 5 terabytes of information.
Holy crap.
But it's not just what they knew about individual people, it's what they did with all the data, running it through a series of models and algorithms to try to understand how people act and think and might respond to certain messages. The campaign took all this information and used it to divide the country into different groups. In 16 key battleground states, the algorithm placed voters into one of 8 categories. Most likely to turn out was the base, core Trump on his side, core Clinton on hers. Those least likely to vote were marked as deadbeats and then disengaged for both sides. In the middle were the voters who might go either way and were open to persuasion. But also crucial were these 2 segments. On his side, they were called GOTV, Get Out the Vote, and on the other, deterrence. Voters who might be encouraged not to vote. The campaign would then create ads that could be targeted at the people in these groups through Facebook and other platforms. Many were dark posts, which could appear on people's Facebook feeds and then vanish.
Cambridge Analytica can help you run more cost-effective...
This machine was built, in part, by a team from the now notorious company Cambridge Analytica, working hand in glove with a team from the Republican National Committee.
The deterrence category were black voters. And it worked. They kept showing Hillary Clinton back in 1994 calling gang members super predators over and over and over so that African Americans would not turn out. And they were able to suppress the vote. That's what Brad Parscale knows.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
Just so you know how you're being targeted and manipulated, and if not you know somebody who believes all this swill, and here's why.
This machine was built, in part, by a team from the now notorious company Cambridge Analytica, working hand in glove with a team from the Republican National Committee. What we found is that in those crucial swing states, black voters were disproportionately categorized for deterrence. In Georgia, they made up 32% of the population, but 61% of deterrence. In North Carolina, 22% of the population, but 46% of deterrence. And in Michigan, 15% of people, but 33% of deterrence. In total, more than 3.5 million black voters were marked for deterrence. If you include other ethnic minorities, they made up 54% of the deterrence segment.
I mean, it's just so unbelievable. And this is why you have so many people, believing things that are created for them to believe, even though they're false or they are things that require further explanation or have been rectified, mistakes that were made that are constantly played for them. That's what we're up against. This is the social media landscape. And last night, the entire internet just blew up with false information, lies, distortions. And things were going viral that were absolutely, bizarre. The Proud Boys went viral last night. I mean, just all of this stuff being pushed out. And why? Why? Because this is what they want to see for American society. They want to see the cohesion. They want to see the unity that most Americans share, wanting the country to be a more perfect union or see the arc of justice, the arc of history bend towards justice. Most Americans hold these things to be, goals and dreams and desires and things that we want to work toward. No, Steve Bannon wants to break America so he can rebuild it in his own way. And here we are. And here we are with a president who spews white supremacist memes and retweets them and repeats Russian talking points and is beholden to money and not to, his duty, not to his honor. He has no honor. I mean, it's so totally predictable when people stop having shared experiences, and when you have a campaign that, just like Chris Wiley said, 4 years ago, they're whispering one thing into one person's ear and another thing into another person's ear, so that they are propounding these lies depending on what you want to hear from the leadership of a nation, all with a goal to break American society, to break it. This is like real military stuff, okay? And anybody that's ever been in the military knows this is true. This is not a slight. This is not a slam. This is just the way you're trained. They have to break you. Go watch Full Metal Jacket, all right? But they do. They have to break you They have to break you down. They have to break you, all the things that you would believe. They have to, break that cycle of belief so that they can rebuild you and remold you into a killing machine, which is not a natural state for most people. There are some. But that's exactly what they're doing to this country. They're breaking it so he can remake it into a white supremacist nation. And he's been over in Europe, Steve Bannon has, doing exactly this in Hungary and in Poland and in Montenegro, believe it or not, trying to infect Ukraine with it. I mean, this is such an evil way of breaking a society so that you can remake it in what you want it to be. And it's serious, and it's really happening. I think that the more Americans understand and orient themselves to the truth of what's going on Facebook, which I think some people, a lot of people already get, and a lot of people on Twitter know that there are trolls there, and that some of these people with 3 followers are not even human, that they have created, these fake accounts that are managed, bots that are managed by foreign governments, that are managed by evildoers, that are managed by God knows who, to infect and infiltrate people's minds, to make them, defensive, to cancel them, to call them names, to shame them, whatever, to make them rethink participating in American democracy. That's what the president is doing, and that's what he did last night. This is what this whole investment in social media is all about. It's really sad, because the internet could be a great thing. But when evil people get hold of awesome power, then the power itself becomes a weapon instead of an aid, instead of a help, so people can read their way into the real world, or fact check their way into the real world, or orient themselves into what's really happening, or what's really going on, or why are we first in death in this pandemic? Why are we doing less well than freaking South Korea? Why are we the worst? And I don't know what the motivation is to let us die. I don't know if Trump has information that tells him exactly that 1 in 1,000 deaths are of Black Americans. And that's a good result. Or that old people are taking the brunt of the dying, and that's good for him. I don't know. I don't know what his motivation is to let people die, but he certainly is doing it. Because, Biden gave him the benefit of the doubt last night, okay? Biden simply chalked it up to Donald Trump doesn't know how to do health care. Donald Trump doesn't know how to protect the country. And that's a very charitable conclusion.
There are 20 million people getting health care through Obamacare now that he wants to take it away. He won't ever look you in the eye and say that's what he wants to do. Take it away.
No, I want to give them better health care at a much lower price, because
by the way,
Obamacare
he doesn't know how. He doesn't know how to do that.
I've already fixed it.
He has never offered a plan.
I've already fixed it to an extent.
He has never done a single thing.
As you might know, but probably don't.
Gentlemen, you realize if you're both speaking at the same time.
Oh, this was so bad.
But I'll tell you, Joe, you could never have done the job that we did. You don't have it in your blood. You could have never done that job.
I know how to do the job.
Yeah.
I know how to get the job
Well, you
done.
didn't do very well in swine flu.
What?
H1N1. You were a disaster. Your own chief of staff said you were a disaster.
14,000 people died, not 200,000. There was no economic recession.
Sir, you made a
there was no recession.
You made a point. Let him answer.
And there was we didn't shut down the economy. This is his economy he shut down. The reason it's shut down is because, look, you folks at home, how many of you got up this morning and had an empty chair at the kitchen table because someone died of COVID?
Also, Ebola. We had 2 people die of Ebola in America. 2 is what we did. The actual number on H1N1 is 12,000. 12,000 people died of H1N1. And no, we didn't have to shut down the economy. And yes, there is a vaccine. So why is he allowing Americans to die in droves? And like I said, the most charitable interpretation of that is that he's just inept, that he's just not able. But the insulting manner that he approaches Joe Biden with. I think Joe Biden knows how to save the automobile industry because he's done it. I think Joe Biden knows how to save the economy because they've done it. I think he knows how to fight pandemics because they've done it. And Donald Trump knows it. But they're going to convince you of something else or try.
Mary had a little man.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe it. Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
Some news broke earlier this evening. Hope Hicks, who's worked for you a long time, has tested positive for coronavirus. Obviously, our prayers are with her. And by the way, everybody that is, as you call, gotten this invisible enemy. Do you have any update on her? And where are we with therapeutics? Where are we with the vaccine?
So she did test positive. I just heard about this. She tested positive. She's a hard worker. A lot of masks. She wears masks a lot, but she tested positive. And I just went out with a test. I'll see what, because we spent a lot of time, and the First Lady just went out with a test also. So whether we quarantine or whether we have it, I don't know. It's very hard when you're with soldiers, when you're with airmen, when you're with the Marines, and I'm with and the police officers. I'm with them so much.
Police.
And when they come over to you, it's very hard to say, "Stay back, stay back." It's a tough kind of a situation. It's a terrible thing. So I just went for a test, and we'll see what happens. I mean, who knows? But you know Hope very well. She's fantastic, and she's done a great job. But it's very, very hard when you are with people from the military or from law enforcement, and they come over to you and they want to hug you and they want to kiss you because we really have done a good job for them. And you get close and things happen. I was surprised to hear with Hope, but she's a very warm person with them, and she knows there's a risk, but she's young. And I just went out for a test. They just do it. It'll come back later, I guess. And the First Lady also, because we spend a lot of time with Hope and others. So we'll see what happens. But
where are we with therapeutics and with the vaccine, in your view?
You have to treat our people great. You can't just say, stay away, stay away. They come up to you. There's such love.
Thoughts and prayers. It's Friday, you bastards.
Oh!
And the President and the First Lady have COVID. Oh, my God. Holy thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers. Honestly, we're living in like some Twilight Zone episode. I don't even think Rod Serling ever thought of this kind of crap. It's either like, yesterday I was talking about the outer limits. I mean, this is what our crazy, amazing country is being put through now. It's like total... It's either a Twilight Zone episode or like some uber karmaic snow globe magic. Do you know what I mean? I mean, this is so or it's the movie Dave. Anybody remember the movie Dave with Kevin Kline and Sigourney Weaver, where the President of the United States of America was actually on life support in the basement of the White House, but they didn't want to tell the American people. And the President of the United States was Sigourney Weaver's husband, and he was a real bastard. And so they went out and they found a lookalike to be the president, and it turned out to be Kevin Kline's character, who was like a really perfect I mean, he was so good at it that they almost, they forgot that they had a bad, mean president. But this is like, I mean, who would we get to impersonate Donald Trump? An orange with fake fur on top, a orangutan, Alec Baldwin, John Goodman. I mean, like, who could... This is... And it's crazy because we don't know what's going on. All I could say is do not let Donald Trump self-medicate. Do not, whoever the doctor is... Don't let him, because he will have a lightsaber up his bum. He will be injecting Clorox. He will be taking hydroxychloroquine. Don't let himself. I honestly don't know what he'll do if he recovers. I honestly don't know what he'll do if he recovers. Okay, will he say that it was that nobody had any idea that COVID was so bad? It was the worst, and I had the worst of anybody. It's like nobody had any idea. Or will he say it's kind of a hoax? It was easy. It was no big thing. It was a little flu. I felt a little flu. I have no idea. All I know is that if I were the person Donald Trump owed nearly $500 million to, I would be nervous today. I would be nervous. They say Melania has it too. Apparently, Mike Lee, the senator from Utah, has it also. Amy Coney Barrett was meeting with Mike Lee recently, but she says, "Oh, that's okay because I had COVID this summer and I got over it." I don't know if she got over it. And Donald Trump is blaming the military. He's blaming me. He's blaming airmen. Airmen, we want to kiss him so bad, he says. And that, this is what happened. They come in contact with police. They come in contact with airmen, the military. That's who's to blame for this. And that Hope Hicks is very warm with the military, very warm with the airmen. And so she hugs them. What is... and the really weird part about it is Donald Trump tested positive last night. And there's an incubation period, and that before you actually test positive, you are very contagious. And so that meant the debate. That meant everybody that helped him with the debate. That meant all the people that were on Air Force One that night, which was Hope Hicks. Also, Congressman Jim Jordan was on that plane. What's his face? Christie. Okay? Giuliani. I don't. So anyway, today we woke up to Donald Trump has COVID, and it should be a wake-up call for, Donald Trump to do something, because at least now he has to fight COVID in some way, if not just to save himself. So now he has to fight COVID because it's inside him. But, the first question was, well, who's he going to blame? He took care of that last night before 10 o'clock. He took care of that on Hannity. He blames the military. He blames law enforcement. He blames people who want to hug and kiss him from the... I don't know. So how crazy can it get? How crazy is October going to be now? And then I smacked myself. And I said, wait a minute. This is the opposite of crazy, okay? This is perfectly logical. This was totally predictable. This could be the first step back from crazy. Could it be the first? I will tell you that the first thing he did after he learned that his closest aide, Hope Hicks, actually contracted COVID was go to his fundraiser at his golf club in Bedminster. And I don't know, he infected supporters there. He infected large money donors. I don't know. It's just, wow, this is unbelievable. And all this happened very shortly after some really, really brutal tapes, audio tapes of Melania, who was recorded by her best friend. Oh my God, this is so Monica Lewinsky, I can't even stand it. Melania Trump's best friend, Stephanie Wolkoff or whatever, who got $26 million for the last inaugural that featured the Michael Flatley dancers without Michael Flatley. Woohoo, worth every penny, right? That she's now peeved. Her and Melania have had a falling out. So, well, of course, if you're Stephanie or you're Linda Tripp or whatever, what do? You record your friends is what you do. And she released those recordings last night on CNN, and they are shocking and hilarious at the same time. It sounds like any minute, like Melania's going to rail against moose and squirrel. I have to tell you, it's just like so amazing. The children were teached, she said. She calls the Central American kids who were separated from their parents liars. And she's the one who apparently declared the war on Christmas.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
I'm working like my ass off. I know. Christmas stuff that, who gives a about Christmas stuff and decoration, but I need to do it, right?
Yeah, but 100%. You have no choice.
And then I do it, and I say that I'm working on Christmas, planning for the Christmas, and they said, oh, what about the children that they were separated? Give me a break. Where they were saying anything when Obama did that?
I know.
I cannot go. I was trying to get the kid reunited with the mom. I didn't have a chance. Needs to go through the process and through the law.
But here's my thing. Hear what you just said. But instead of that, if your messaging, you were so loved.
They would not do the story. We put it out. They would not do the story.
I'm telling you.
You would not believe it. They would not do the story because they would not do the story because they are against us because they're liberal media. Yeah, if I go to Fox, they will do the story. I don't want to go to Fox.
Oh, my God. So there's a Christmas card for everybody. F Christmas. Christmas. F the Christmas. Love, Natasha. Dear Boris, F the Christmas. Oh, my God. And F the children, too. F everything. I just, she is the worst person in the world. Yesterday we were saying Donald Trump was the worst person in the world. No, that is not true. Donald Trump is not the worst person. She is, because Donald Trump was born Donald Trump. Donald Trump has some sort of a mangled brain, okay? But she chose this. She actually entered into the contract with Satan. She's the one that actually made the pact and sold her, empty, dark, decrepit, oozy, pussy, gravy sore of a soul in order to be a rich woman instead of some Slovenian, apartment dweller. So she's the worst person in the world. He can't help who he is. He was born Donald Trump. He's mental, and he's our president, which is our problem. But really, everybody, I'm going to make these Christmas cards, I think. Just F Christmas. So I have to do all the Christmas, and I don't give an F about the Christmas, and I don't give an F about the decorations, and I don't give an F about the children. Oh, and then she actually says the children, the reason why she doesn't care about the children is because the children are teached. They are teached to lie. Be best.
All these kids that I met, they are here in the shelters because they were brought by it through coyotes, the people, or trafficking, and that's why they put them in jail. And the kids that they go in shelters, and the way they take care of them, it's they even said, the kids, they say, wow, I will have my own bed, I will sleep on the bed, I will have a cabinet for my clothes. It's so sad to hear it, but they didn't have that in their own countries. Right. They sleep on the floor. They are, they're fed. They are taking care nicely there. But they are not with parents. It's sad. But when they come here alone or with coyotes or illegally, you need to do something. Right. And a lot of like moms and kids, they are taught how to do it. They go over and they say like, oh, we will be killed by gang member. We will be it's so dangerous. So they allowed to stay here. Do you understand?
I do. And they're the ones that are the bad ones.
Yeah, and they are not, it's not true that they would, you know what I mean? Some of them, they're using that lines that, they're not professional, but they're taught by other people what to say. to come over and to let them go to stay here, because they could easily stay in Mexico, but they don't want to stay in Mexico because Mexico doesn't take care of them the same as America does.
Right, because America gives them COVID and an aluminum blankie and separates them from their parents. She's back crap. Okay, she's as bad as he is, and everybody always wondered, what was that jacket? I don't care to you. Now you know. Now you know. Be best, everybody. Be best. The kids are teached to lie about gang violence and corrupt governments and poverty. It's not really happening, except they do sleep on the floor. They don't have beds. And then they come here and they're like, oh, I could sleep on a bed. They don't get to sleep on a bed here, okay? They get to sleep on the floor. We saw them with aluminum blankets in a cage. In a cage. Like in a puppy mill. She's back crap, man. So she's the worst person in the world. They're teached, they're teached. She has COVID. That's all I'm saying. She has COVID. Brett doesn't believe she has COVID.
I'm just saying, if he had it and she didn't, we know he doesn't get to touch her.
But he does get to touch Hope Hicks, because that's who he's blaming for his COVID. And then he's blaming Hope Hicks for hugging on and loving on and kissing on airmen. The military did it to her. Oh, this is just so unbelievable. But I honestly, I don't, he's what? How old is Trump? He just turned 74. He's like grossly obese. Okay, and that is who COVID does not like. And then he had this mysterious visit to Walter Reed with the doctor in the back of the limo, right? Just on a Saturday afternoon, just went over there. God only knows what happened there. All we know is that after that, he was walking down a ramp very gingerly, carefully. He couldn't walk. He was dragging his leg, and then he was drinking from a cup with two hands to hold. I don't know if he could survive the the Rona. He's a COVIDiot. I mean, there's obviously, some karmic, magic in this. But, I'm sure if you ask Donald Trump, he'll say, I had the greatest symptoms the world has ever seen. I got symptoms like nobody ever heard of. In a very short time, I got amazingly sick. Sir, the doctor said, sir, these symptoms are amazing. I never seen it. It's never happened before. Never happened. But he's just about to round the corner. He was just telling us it was just we were done with it. It was over. It was over, he was saying. But he's now quarantined with Natasha there. It's a beautiful thing. Oh, and I want you to know, he didn't even bother to tell his staff. He didn't tell anybody in the White House. You know how America found out? A little detail. Always in the details, the devil is, except for Melania. Bloomberg News. We found out from Bloomberg that Hope Hicks had tested positive. Then Sean Hannity, had Donald Trump on last night when the story broke, and he asked him what about Hope? I just heard Hope from Bloomberg. Yeah, they didn't tell anybody. They didn't tell their staff. He didn't tell Kayleigh Ninny Head. They didn't tell Mark Meadows. They didn't tell Pence. They didn't tell anybody. They didn't tell any of Joe Biden's staff. And they were all together for the debate. They didn't tell anybody. We learned it from Bloomberg. And now the whole world is in chaos because nobody knows. Nobody knows what's going to happen.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844.
561-270-3844. But the fact is that when I talk about the ripple effects, it is that there are people in the West Wing, there are members of the cabinet, people in the West Wing who went to Capitol Hill, who met with senior leaders of the Senate leadership and I believe the House leadership. And then let's just add the third branch of government in, or the woman who wants to be on the third branch of government. Amy Coney Barrett, the president's nominee to take Ruth Bader Ginsburg's spot on the Supreme Court, has been at the White House. She has also been on Capitol Hill. So you have all of those just on surface level, all of those top people who have been potentially exposed, who are undoubtedly going to be asking their doctors, do I have to quarantine? So what if Mitch McConnell, the top Republican in the Senate, has to quarantine? What if Amy Coney Barrett, the nominee, has to quarantine? What if the president's chief of staff, the vice president? I mean, those are not far-fetched notions. Sanjay and Dr. Reiner can correct me if I'm wrong, but these people have been in contact in recent days.
Steve Mnuchin, he's another one, and he's been meeting with Nancy Pelosi. I mean, the contact tracing on this is endless because Donald Trump has had rallies. Donald Trump went to a debate. Donald Trump's been on Marine One. Marine One's been packed with Jim Jordan, packed with Hope Hicks, packed with Donald Trump, packed with. I mean, it's just it's unbelievable what's going on here. But who gives a crap, according to Melania, about any of it, right? I don't care. Do you? It's what's coming out of the White House. I don't care. Do you? Wow. Happy birthday.
Thank you, sister. You are my birthday present.
It's Brother David, everybody. Brother David. Hey.
On my 22nd consecutive 39th native. It's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I hear you.
A real quick shout out to the chat room and to all the YouTube streamers and the podcast listeners, etc. Never before has it been more useful and critical that you tell 10 people who don't listen to go to freespeech.org. Because this is the tipping point.
Why do you think it's a tipping point? I mean, here's look, here's the thing. He's going to either step up to the plate now and, take it seriously, or he's going to say the whole thing was, like I had a caller yesterday who lied and said, I had COVID, it's a joke. So those are the two ways it could go, or he could die. Oh, he's not there. Claire in Chicago.
Hi. Hey, Randy. I'm wondering if Donald Trump is faking this whole thing, and let me just tell you why it's a possibility. I went and researched. Some Twitter users feel that he is faking this to avoid any further humiliating debates or maybe delay the election as a possibility, and a few other reasons why he might be doing this. Have you thought of this at all?
Yeah, I thought of it.
And another reason is that if he fears losing the election, he can have Pence pardon him and prevent federal prosecution. And then I thought on my own, maybe he's even going to pretend to take a new vaccine, claim it will work, say others took it and it worked to promote a vaccine that may not work. But, I really do wonder if he's faking this whole thing. It's like the timing, the debates, a way out, a pardon, and then maybe even Mike Pence gets in and has Nikki Haley in as his vice to prevent, I don't know. What are your thoughts? Just wondering. And it's my birthday, too.
Oh, happy birthday, Claire.
Thank you.
All right. So here's the thing. We have no idea what's going on because this man is a world heavyweight champion liar. So we don't know. All things are possible. It is possible he doesn't want to debate. I mean, one of the first things I tweeted after the debates was, do you think, or I actually tweeted, who thinks Donald Trump's going to show up for another debate? Because he got his butt kicked by a 77-year-old man who is never going to end up in the debating Hall of Fame. We all know that, right? And yet, Donald Trump got his rear end kicked to the curb. Okay, so there's that. The election delay is not a possibility because it's not a federal election. It is run by each and every state. It is in the Constitution upon which day all these things need to happen. The president has no say in the date of the election. As far as the pardon goes, that was one of the first things that crossed my mind this morning. I went out to walk my dog, and my crazy Texan neighbor Lala is out there doing. She's obsessed with Halloween. You know that, right? I mean, if you look at my Instagram, her Halloweens are like over. So she's out there at like 7:30 in the morning building dead things and hanging dead babies from her tree. And so we both looked at each other this morning. We weren't even verbal yet, and we both said, "Yeah, the president's got COVID." And she goes, "Randi, Mike Pence is going to pardon him. He's going to give it up for just, he's going to go on a ventilator for 5 minutes, and then Mike Pence is going to pardon him, and he's going to come on back." So there's that. And the vaccine thing I never thought of. That's really twisted.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but the problem is we don't know because he is a liar. He's a liar. He's a cheat. He can't take humiliation. The thing that narcissists are most in fear of is public humiliation. And he was humiliated all over that stage. Maybe it's dawning on him now. Okay. Dan in Illinois. I did not hang up on you, Claire. You just didn't say anything to me.
Yeah, this is Dan in Lincoln, Illinois.
Hey.
And I just now found Free Speech TV. I didn't even know it was available on my apps. But anyway, I just found it.
Mm-hmm.
And I caught you when you were talking about, the finding out Trump had the virus. And you said it was kind of like a Twilight Zone, Outer Limits type, thing from the 60s. Well, I was up last night when the announcement came through, and I listened to it for a little bit. And as I shut out the lights and was shutting off the TV, and I was heading into my bedroom, it came to me, it's a Stephen King novel. You know what I mean? He wrote The Stand, and that was all about the virus, Captain Trips, and the whole darn bit.
Yeah.
But I think before he wrote The Stand, he wrote one called The Dead Zone. You aware of that one?
Yes, I know. I actually am lucky enough to know Stephen King.
Well, the character, the guy that was running for president, in the Dead Zone, that's Trump. That's Trump. And I thought to myself,
maybe Trump is Pennywise.
Yeah, he could be Pennywise, too. I never thought about that.
Because he's a clown, all right, but an evil one. He ain't no Ronald McDonald. He's a Pennywise.
I got to say, Pennywise was a little bit better with the makeup, though. He knew how to apply it. I don't think Trump's learned how to apply it yet all the years he's had it on.
Thanks, Dan.
But I want to say something. There was an ad that came through, and a girl had a poster on her wall. I'm not sure what the show was, and it said Mama. It was kind of take on the Obama poster.
Okay.
Anyway, it's been coming to me. If this is American greatness.
I don't know. Gonna be like that today.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
First thing I want to say is I wish all of them a speedy recovery. I think we all do. It's a tragedy what's going on in terms of the pandemic. But John, it's irresponsible. And you don't even know if Hope got it first. She could be the fall person. And then the president does the news drop at 1 a.m. to try to deflect what's going on with his personal health. So we don't even know what's going on because all of the lies. But here's the thing that's so irresponsible. He's going to Minnesota knowing that Hope had it. He's going to New Jersey knowing that Hope had it. The White House press secretary, unmasked, is giving a press conference. Nobody in the Congress is being notified.
Right.
And so this is just rank irresponsibility, and it's rank incompetence. And let's just stipulate, he's lied about the science for 6 months, couldn't protect himself or his family. So how is he going to protect the American people going forward? And so I feel bad that he's sick. I want him to get better. Certainly, it's a tragic situation. But we have to not let up on the gas if you want to remove him. We have to still discuss the racism, the destruction of the democracy, the demolishing of the institutions of our government, the voter suppression. All of this stuff has to be discussed now. Somebody said to me this morning, well, maybe he doesn't have it. Maybe he's looking for sympathy. I know that's not true. I'm sure he has it because there's no way he would want to isolate himself for 14 days if he didn't have it, John. But this is wholly irresponsible. And good men and women in the United States need to speak out now and remove this president.
So that's Anthony Scaramucci. Obviously, he worked in the White House for a short period of time. And, of course, Donald Trump probably doesn't know him. You know, he only worked for me for a short period of time. Paul Manafort, he only worked for me for a short period of time. I don't know. Flynn, he worked for me for a short period of time. George Papadopoulos, don't know him. Igor Fruman, Lev Parna, don't know, So, short period of time. So Anthony Scaramucci knows you can't believe a word this president says. He doesn't doubt, though, that President Trump has COVID because he wouldn't want to isolate for 14 days. Well, the truth is, I believe he has COVID because he tried to cover up that he had COVID. This is the sick part. This is what makes it so disgusting and irresponsible. He was on his way. Today, he was going to be in Sanford, Florida. It was on his schedule. Hope Hicks got information. She got diagnosed on Wednesday. On freaking Wednesday, the president knew that he had been in close quarters with her for a long period of time and that she had tested positive for COVID. And he decided that he was still going to go to Sanford, Florida and have one of these unmasked off-the-hook rallies. Then he was going to go, and we were talking about this yesterday, because Wisconsin is having such a spike in COVID cases that they barely have 15% of their hospital capacity left. And Donald Trump was still going to go to La Crosse, Wisconsin and do an unmasked rally. And then he was going to go to Green Bay and do an unmasked rally. Listen, the only reason why Donald Trump is admitting that he has COVID is because he got caught by Bloomberg. And he decided that he would go on Sean Hannity last night, and he was asked about it. And he said, okay, so I'm out with a test. So then all the doctors, Sanjay Gupta and Dr. Reiner and just you name it, all of the, the epidemiologists, the vaccinologists, all the people that were on the TV last night, they were all saying Nancy Pelosi needs to isolate. That's how dangerous everybody thinks the situation we are in is. Now, Mike Pence is out and about today, but we don't know if Mike Pence is safe to be out and about today because it takes a couple days. There's an incubation period, but he tested negative last night, and so he's out and about today. I mean, this is crazy. They are all super spreaders, all of them. And so we don't know. We have no earthly idea like what we're about to deal with, face, hear about, and learn about, what our government, what the continuity of government plan, I mean, this is so, it's mind-blowing. So the only reason why, just to answer questions about whether or not he has it, I would conclude that he does, only because he tried to deny it. I mean, he went to Bedminster. He sat there without a mask with donors and supporters at his golf club. Didn't give a damn about them. Didn't tell his staff about it. Didn't tell the Biden staffers about it when they met for this debate. Okay, didn't tell anybody. I will tell you, Joe Biden has tested negative, and so has Jill Biden, thank God. And Kamala Harris, she's also tested negative. So, I'll just keep reporting it as I get information about who's tested and who's negative and who's not. But it's just, it's mind-blowing. And just so you know how this would work, yes, if Trump is the president, and let's say he becomes incapacitated, this has happened before. Ronald Reagan, was shot, and he had to pass his duties off to Bush when he was being operated on, when he was having bullets removed from him. Remember, James Brady was shot in the head. He was really damaged. And then it happened with W, too. W had a colonoscopy. And, when you have a colonoscopy, they sort of put you in twilight sleep. So he signed over his presidential power to Cheney when he was having his colonoscopy. So if Donald Trump becomes incapacitated, then, yes, Pence would become the president for a short period of time until Donald Trump signed another letter saying that he was okay and his doctor said he was okay to resume his duties as president. In that period of time, Mike Pence could pardon Donald Trump from federal crimes, not state crimes, as we've known. So anything he's, being investigated for, let's say in, New York, would still be live and active and actionable and prosecutable, and he would still be indictable once he left the presidency. But as far as if Donald Trump can't stand for election, The RNC is who picks the next person. Oh, this is my email. The RNC is who picks the next person, okay? And Ronna McDaniel, who's the chairwoman of the RNC, also has COVID. She just got diagnosed, but that's who would pick. Now, if there's no one, I don't know, then what are we going to do? Leave it up to the electors? I have no conclusion for this. Jermaine in Colorado.
Randy.
Jermaine.
How are you today, ma'am?
I'm all right. I don't have COVID as far as I know.
Hey, well, let's keep it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, ma'am, the moment is upon us, and the age of the BDG, big dumb guy is ended. When it was possible, no matter what, to break it back to earn a buck, use me and anyone else could kind of make a way in a decent living, and raise a family. But now it's the time to usher in the ways of the smart guy. I mean, this guy cannot continue to just kind of do whatever and hope it goes his way, and we stand by and watch.
Well, the economy is cratering. If your main concern is your own family and your own well-being, then you got to realize you have a president that, refused to fight this virus, and now it's inside him. So maybe he will, after all, who lies repeatedly. You don't even know what to believe, and whose economic plan has failed miserably. The airlines, they just laid off 30,000. Like 68,000 people lost their job just yesterday. We are millions.
As we bailed them out, and they continue to do away and purge the payroll.
Well, they got $25 billion. That wasn't enough, they said. It's just not enough. We got to lay everybody off because travel's not coming back because the president failed at COVID. He failed at it.
Definitely. Well, I mean.
So I just wanted to get this in. I just wanted to get this in because this is really important. So on today's economic news, which was really bad, the Wharton School of Business at Penn, where Donald Trump claims he went, he did not go to the graduate school. He went to the undergrad. But they looked at the economic plan of Donald Trump, the continuation of his policies with the 2017 tax cut going to the wealthiest Americans. And they looked at the Biden plan, which requires an enormous investment, but also a tax increase on people making over $400,000 a year and clawing back those tax breaks that Donald Trump gave to corporate and raising the corporate tax rate to 28. They said that if we continued down the Trump road, we would be in debt up to our eyeballs and see no economic growth. If we did Biden's plan, we would see a reduction in the deficit. Economic growth would increase by 4.5% GDP, okay? And things like education and healthcare would be funded. So that's the Wharton School, okay?
Well, and that is definitely wonderful to hear. I mean, just taking a half a second to be considered as someone else and wearing a mask shouldn't be, majorly thought-provoking.
He's a self-serving piece of dung. And that's why I keep saying, thoughts and prayers. But this is like being in some giant Karmaic magical snow globe. This is like being in a Chekhov play. This is like an O. Henry play. It's the height of irony for those of you who read.
Mary had a little lamb. The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe it.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
Let's look at job creation. 661,000 net new jobs in September. That is a slowdown from the pace we have seen this summer, although it was enough job creation to pull down the unemployment rate to 7.9%. The government pointing out, however, that if you counted truly everybody who really was unemployed, the way they classify things, it'd be more like 8.3% for the unemployment rate. That is still the highest we have ever seen going into a presidential election, and really a history-making summer. You still have a pandemic job job loss of some 10.7 million jobs. We are still in a jobs hole of 10.7 million jobs. This is the final jobs report before the election. So this is really kind of the final verdict on jobs for voters as they head into the voting booth. And for the president, in his tenure to date, down 3.9 million jobs since his first full month in office.
This is the first president to ever face election with a net negative job, loss. We're down 10.7 million jobs under Donald Trump because he failed miserably at COVID. It's unbelievable. He refused to wear a mask. He wouldn't tell his followers to wear a mask. He's holding these super spreader events. He kisses the behinds of these crazy meth dealing bikers. Why does he like meth dealers so much? Because that's kind of what the Hells Angels are famous for, is dealing meth. Methamphetamine, everybody. Methamphetamine. I don't know. But, he was all for them going, to Sturgis, and he was, all for them going into the bars and crowding together. Now, Florida's going to open schools and bars at the same time. I mean, what could go wrong? Yeah, Monday, they're going to open up the schools and the bars are open now. People are elbow to elbow. People are dancing now. People are drinking now. People are out, and now the president of the United States has COVID. His, Hopi Hicks has COVID. Senator Mike Lee got COVID. Amy Coney Barrett says she had it this summer. She got over it. But then all of a sudden she showed up in the White House. She showed up in the Senate. She showed up talking to Mike Lee. And all of a sudden, everybody got COVID. I don't know. Donald Trump says the military did it to him. Military, because they hug and kiss him. I don't know. But this is crazy. But the economy that he gets such high marks on, it's failing. And it was destined to fail. He lied when he did that 2017 tax cut, He told you that we would have 4% growth out of that tax cut. And we haven't passed 3% growth. We're at negative growth. We're down 10.7 million jobs. It's unbelievable. So I just want you to know very quickly that the Wharton School, the Penn Wharton School of Business, actually looked at what passes for Donald Trump's economic policy, which was he doesn't have one. He also doesn't have a plan for health care. He also doesn't have a plan for big pharma. He has not lowered the price of insulin so it's like water. I mean, the man just lied through that whole debate, the whole thing. But Biden does have a plan. Biden has plans, lots of them. He's got plans for climate change. He's got plans for Made in America. He's got a tax plan, an economic plan. He has all of these things. And so he submitted, actually, Wharton went out and looked at the website, Joe Biden's plans. And they analyzed it. And they concluded, 1, Biden's large public investments over the next 10 years, $1.9 trillion for education, including universal pre-K, funding for schools serving low-income students, 2 years of guaranteed debtless college, and tuition-free public college for lower-income families, along with an investment of $1.6 trillion for water and transit infrastructure and other green infrastructure projects and clean energy R&D, would do more to create jobs and lift our economy than any other thing we could be doing right now. Then they looked at his health care plan. And yes, it is smaller than Medicare for all. He's not down with the Medicare for all. He did misspeak, though, during that debate, and it was kind of creepy because I heard it, too, and I got a lot of emails about it because he said, only very poor people will be able to buy into the public option. Well, that is not his plan. His plan is to expand the Affordable Care Act marketplace and to expand the dollars in subsidies that middle-class Americans are entitled to, which, certainly would help me, okay? Because I'm in that nether region where I don't make enough money to really afford my premiums, and I don't make too little where I get a subsidy, okay? But it invests heavily in things like elder care. It also invests in, it allows an expansion of Medicare so that I would be able to be on Medicare. All you have to do is be 60 instead of 65, and you can get into Medicare. It's a $1.6 trillion increase in spending over the next 10 years, but it's offset by $1.2 trillion in savings just by allowing the Medicare program to negotiate pharmaceutical prices with Big Pharma. Now, I don't know if you saw this week or not, but Katie Porter, the House had a big hearing. Like, as Donald Trump is standing on that debate stage and lying about insulin is just as cheap as water now. I mean, he did so much on, reducing the prices of drugs. That did not happen. It just did not happen. So Katie Porter was grilling one of the big pharma CEOs. This man is responsible for an increase in the price of a cancer drug that did not get better, that doesn't have more efficacy, that doesn't, nothing changed about the drug. All that changed was, as CEO, his bonuses were tied to earnings. And in order to reach his earnings expectations to get his bonus of millions of dollars, he had to increase the price of a cancer drug so that it's like now, $7,000 a month. A month. This was magical. Watch this.
Do you know what this number is? Does it ring any bells?
But I think you're referring to my compensation in some way.
Yeah, well, in some way. This was your compensation in 2017 for being CEO of Celgene, and that's a lot of money. It's 200 times the average American's income and 360 times what the average senior gets on Social Security. Now, of that 13 million, about 2.1 million came from your company hitting yearly earning targets. And more than half of the bonus formula was based on those targets. Any increase in the price of Revlimid would also increase your bonus by increasing earnings. Isn't that right, Mr. Ellis?
If revenues increased and expenses did not, then earnings would be enhanced.
Thank you. Mr. Ellis, in fact, the Oversight Committee found that if you hadn't increased the price of Revlimid, you wouldn't have gotten your bonus. Mr. Ellis, do you know how much you personally received in bonuses over 2 years, the last 2 years, just because Celgene raised the price of this one drug, Revlimid?
I receive very generous compensation, but I don't know the exact number that you're referring to.
In fact, you personally received $500,000 personally just by tripling the price of Revlimid. So to recap here, the drug didn't get any better. The cancer patients didn't get any better. You just got better at making money. You just refined your skills at price gouging. And to be clear, the taxpayers spent $3.3 billion on Revlimid.
Oh! $3.3 billion on Revlimid. You know how much it is now? It was about $4,515 a month, which was bizarro world anyway. They increased the price to $719 per pill, so that it's now $16,000 a month for cancer.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
There's a few concerns, but the immediate concern, Erica, will be the Secret Service, and it will be what protocols they have to put in place to protect the president. Now, the Secret Service was within the Department of Homeland Security. These were the types of things that the agents around the president would prepare for, but this is a challenge because you have key agents that are responsible for protecting him that now likely have to also go into quarantine. So you have new shifts of agents coming in. Like you said, there's going to have to be an extensive contact tracing effort. And this isn't just a contact tracing effort for anyone. It's a contact tracing effort for the commander-in-chief. And the people that he comes into contact with are the people that run the federal government. So then, from the immediate concerns around the president's bubble, you have those larger national security concerns about who did the president interact with and who will be out of pocket because of this. Now, we, of course, hope that other people around the president weren't infected. We do know that some senior advisors were. It's unclear whether they were before the president or after the president and because of him. But there's a broader issue here regarding continuity of government. Now, we did a lot of exercising and training in government to prepare for situations where senior leadership might be affected or removed from their jobs. Those types of plans are being put in action right now. Now, unfortunately, this White House wasn't terribly interested in continuity of government exercises when I was there. But I do hope that at this moment, the National Security Council is springing into action and thinking through the worst case scenarios so that the country is prepared and so that there's a smooth continuation of leadership in any crisis situation.
We are in so much doo-doo right now. And it's just, it's chaotic October and surprise. So the president is now being treated with Regeneron antibody cocktail. I don't know what that costs, but apparently, it's not available to everybody. It's just not. It's in a clinical trial. I mean, this is just and if it was, I mean, could we even afford it? Could we, would your health insurance plan pay for it? Could you even afford it? I don't know. Because I'm sitting there listening to these hearings this week with Big Pharma sitting there telling me that if I got this blood cancer, myeloma, multiple myeloma, that's what this particular drug that Katie Porter was grilling the CEO of this company about, that they had increased the price from $4,515 a month to $16,000 a month. They increased the cost of a pill to $719 per pill. Per pill. And that apparently enough people in this country have this blood cancer so that this particular pharmaceutical company made $3 billion off of this one cancer drug. Oh my God. And the drug doesn't work faster. The drug doesn't have less side effects. The formula didn't change. The production didn't change. The cancer patients didn't get any better. Only the price got higher. Only this is such a scam. It's such a scam. And so when you look at Joe Biden's health care plan as reviewed by various, Kaiser, which studies health care plans. I mean, Donald Trump doesn't have a health care plan to study. So maybe that's why the undereducated white men in this country like him, because there's nothing for them to read or learn or know about President Trump's health care plan, because he doesn't have one. He doesn't have one. Yes, it saves you a lot of reading, but you, God forbid, get sick and you don't have health care and you can't afford this drug or any of the drugs. So I'm telling you, the study that was done about the health care plan, Joe Biden's health care plan, Joe Biden's investment in this country, the amount that he wants to devote to creating new jobs in a green economy. No, he's not for the Green New Deal. He's got his own climate deal, his own plan. And that was looked at too. And you know what? If you read, I mean, there's 5 pages here. It's just not that much. But if you read what the analysis of Biden's plans are, you learn that he reduces the federal deficit by 6+% and boosts gross domestic product in this country, turns back the tide on climate change, invests in a new economy with unbelievable amounts of good, high-paying, new green jobs, and helps us deal with things like education, with things like tax burdens, with things like health care, the things that we give a damn about, the things that affect our families. That's what Jermaine was calling about, and I'm glad he did because he reminded me to tell you this. These are some serious analyses here, and there is nothing on Donald Trump's plan except to say that if we continue down the same way that we're going now as far as tax cuts and investment and lack thereof and no health care plan, et cetera, that GDP refuses to budge, and that you'll see a hemorrhaging of manufacturing jobs. You'll see a hemorrhaging of all kinds of jobs. I mean, it's just it's so plain.
We're still down 10.5 million jobs since this pandemic began. I see this recovery as a marathon. We sprinted the first half. We're at the halfway point here, and that's great. Now it gets increasingly difficult, and we are looking increasingly fatigued. You can see that with the slowdown in the jobs that we add month by month. The isotonic drink that we need here, I think, is more financial aid from Congress to push us towards the recovery for the other half of the jobs that we need to recapture. And we're scarred from this. Let's be clear. Just if you look at what we're seeing in terms of the individual unemployment rates here, we did see a big drop in African-American unemployment. It's now only, and I say only, 12.1%.
Oh, my God.
White unemployment here, 7%. We've wiped out 5 years of gains in tackling inequality in particular. We've got over 7 million people here saying, look, I'd like to be back into the workforce. I simply can't find a job. So there are many challenges that are not revealed by just a snapshot number of jobs gained, however pleasing it is to still be adding jobs 2 months out from the end of that financial aid.
And so the House yesterday passed another stimulus package. They took $1 trillion off the price tag, but they have stimulus in there. They've got $600 of the return to the enhanced unemployment benefits. They have a $1,200 stimulus check going out to each and every family. They've got help for schools to reopen so that when they reopen, if they have to retrofit their air circulation, or they have to have more space to socially distance the kids, or they need PPE for the lunch lady or PPE for the school teacher. There's money in there for that. There's money in here for the airlines. There's all kinds of stimulus. Mitch McConnell's not, he's absent. He won't even go to the meetings. You know what his comment was when Nancy Pelosi yesterday, the House, almost right along party lines, passed another stimulus package? I wish you well. That's what he said. I wish you well. How could this man be ahead in Kentucky? How could that possibly be? And yet, he is. He is. It's tight, but he's ahead in Kentucky, where he does absolutely nothing for Kentuckians ever. We need stimulus, and we need it freaking now, and everybody knows it.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
So Biden and Jill Biden have tested negative for COVID, and Biden is in Grand Rapids, Michigan. He's on the campaign trail. He said he's had 2 COVID tests today, and he is speaking, with a mask, in Grand Rapids right now. And Donald Trump is somewhere, getting an infusion of antibody cocktail. Okay, because this man refuses to wear a mask. And the Associated Press is reporting right now that masks will still not be mandatory at the White House. It is a personal decision. Can you believe this? What is wrong with them? It's such a simple preventative tool. Rich in Denver.
Hey, Randi.
Hi, Rich.
Happy
Friday.
Twilight Zone for Friday. Yeah. We're on the corner of Karma Street and Irony Avenue, don't you think?
Yes, I do think.
This is. I was telling Brad I was gonna talk about. I didn't think that Trump has it, but I'm gonna go to the economy, Randi. I heard Jackie Spire this morning on Stephanie Miller, your sexy sister, on the Spear. Sorry.
Yeah.
On the left coast, and she said that there are more jobs in the service industry. And Disney just laid off 28,000 people. And I know you talked. The airlines are about to lay off
30.
In your state of Florida.
Yeah,
30,000. Yeah, she said that there are more jobs in the service industry and restaurant industry. And New York City alone, Randi, has 25,000 restaurants. I know you're from that neck of the woods.
Yep,
has 25,000 restaurants, and they have more jobs in those two industries, or in that industry, than the airlines or the auto industry combined. And I'll tell you, to Biden's plan, Randy, he could not only bring back the economy and solve but he could solve the opioid crisis in places like West Virginia by transitioning that entire state off of coal into wind technology and building solar panels and
turbines,
battery.
Yeah, you know what people don't understand. I mean, Donald Trump is like, oh, I hate wind. I hate the windmills. The windmills, they cause cancer. You know, he's insane. Meanwhile, these turbines that drive these windmills, they're wonderful to be built in West Virginia. They'd be great to be built in Kentucky. It would be great to see, like, Southern Ohio get to be a manufacturing place again. You know, I mean, these are the places in Appalachia where I used to live where people haven't had a decent job in 30 freaking years.
Yeah, and the opioid crisis is now a family addiction. It's an industry, whereas not just one person has it, or gets it, but everybody gets it, and it becomes a family share. It's literally killing these people, and you could save them, and not just those states, but the others that have. I'm in Colorado. Pueblo, which is about an hour and 45 minutes south of Denver, has an opioid crisis. Not to the extent of West Virginia, but Randy, you say it all the time. In chaos, you can steal, and that's exactly what we've got, going on. There was a report in Marketplace about a week ago, and I'm looking at it right now. I read that U.S. suffered $16 trillion loss over 20 years due to racism. New Citigroup study finds.
I saw that.
I mean, this is, you're talking about, you're a movie buff like me. This is Terminator meets Talking Tina from the Twilight Zone. That's what this guy is. In Terminator, Paul Reiser or Michael Biehn is telling Linda Hamilton, aka Sarah Connor, you cannot reason with this thing. It will absolutely not stop until you are dead. There is no bargaining with this thing. There is no negotiation. And it means Talking Tina with her line. If you don't be nice to me, I'm gonna hurt you.
My name is Talking Tina, and you better be nice to me. That's exactly what he said to the governors. I can't even believe that there are people that still think that this is normal or okay, or that he had to do that because he's breaking a deep state. What are you talking about? What are they even trying to? This man is draining us. He is the swamp. This is exactly the swamp. This is what the swamp looks like, feels like. This is what voting for swamp creatures over and over and over, also known as the Republican Party and corporate Democrats, this is what it gets you. You get a reality TV star as the president, and he kills people because they're not nice to him.
Yeah, this is a genocide without him having to lift a finger. I mean, and we are coming into the winter, Randy. The Kansas flu. I'm not going to call it what the Kansas flu 102 years ago killed more people in the winter fall. It killed the majority of the people, tens of millions, in the fall of 1918, and that was with us for 36 months. So, I mean, this is gone beyond a pandemic. He's just like, to the comment about the ballots are in the river. This is
there
like
are no ballots in a river. Yeah. Can we just say that there are no ballots in a river? It never happened. The man.
It's like Reagan with the welfare lady in the Cadillac. Yeah, it's like Reagan with the black woman in the Cadillac. And the New York, who's driving around in a Cadillac. Remember that meme? That this has all been cooked into the books. It's 40 years of Reaganomics, and it's just, I mean, Tom talks about it all the time, and it's just, this is, you and I have talked about this before. There's always going to be a third of the people in this country. Kentucky's a prime example. I don't get it, but it's wanting to own the liberals and basically somebody who is racist enough that they can kick open their trailer and say, Well, at least I'm not that gay person down the street. At least I'm not the Muslim. At least I'm not the black man. At least I'm not the transgender.
It's worse than that. That is a sociological fact that every group needs another group to look down on to make themselves feel bigger, better, and more important, and that's just a fact of human nature. What's going on here is even more disgusting, okay? What's going on here is people's lives have zero meaning. There's nothing to look forward to, and so they've become part of the Trump cult because that's their identity now. That's giving their lives meaning. Waking up or going to bed watching Donald Trump rallies, or being on Twitter and shaming people or insulting people. That is the meaning that their lives now have, where before Donald Trump, they didn't have any meaning in their life. People like me want to change that because I know what that's like.
You and me both.
And they don't believe it can be done. I got news for you. It can be done. But you need a decent, honest government, a president, a Senate, a House that actually is trying to get money out the door to you.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
I would like to start by acknowledging, which I'm sure all of you do as well, sending my prayers for the health and safety of the First Lady and President of the United States after they tested positive for COVID-19. My wife Jill and I prayed that they'll make a quick and full recovery. This is not a matter of politics. It's a bracing reminder to all of us that we have to take this virus seriously. It's not going away automatically. We have to do our part to be responsible. It means following the science, listening to the experts, washing our hands, social distancing. It means wearing a mask in public, and it means encouraging others to do so as well. It means having masking mandates nationwide.
Now, ask yourself this question. Where would America be economically with regard to the pandemic, lives lost, people infected, if we had had President Hillary Clinton or President Joe Biden, who was not running in 2016, but just, for example, just a lucid, honest, decent president who considered America first. Now, Trump makes a big, show of it, but he literally considers himself first, as we've all learned. The only battle on COVID is the one that Donald Trump is personally involved in because it's inside him today. Now, Biden didn't just go to Grand Rapids to wish the president and the first lady well. He went there to talk about his plans, his economic plan, his health care plan, his jobs plan, prescription drug costs, everything. I mean, 60% lower drug costs. If just this one thing, if Medicare, the largest prescription drug purchaser in the United States, could negotiate the prices it paid with Big Pharma, the price of prescription drugs would go down by 60%. If we invested in education, including universal pre-K, and he's also talking about childcare, investing in childcare. Can you imagine? Like, women who are being affected by the COVID pandemic the worst. Why? Because we stay home with the kids when the kids can't go to school, and Donald Trump has done nothing to make it okay to open schools. So, all of these things have solutions.
The director of the CDC, Center for Disease Control, Dr. Redfield said, and I quote, and he held up a mask, he said, "These face masks are the most important, powerful public health tool we have." Then he held the mask up again and said, "This face mask is more guaranteed to protect me against COVID than a vaccine," end of quote. Leading scientists from the University of Washington tell us that we can save more than 100,000 American lives in the next 100 days alone if everyone wore a mask in public. So let me repeat that because it's so important. We can save 100,000 lives in the next 100 days, according to the head of the CDC, if everyone wears a mask in public. So be patriotic. It's not about being a tough guy. It's about doing your part. Wearing a mask is not only going to protect you, but it also protects those around you.
The White House says masks are a personal choice, and they're not going to enforce mask mandates in the White House, where Hope Hicks, Donald Trump, Melania Trump have all tested positive and are being treated for COVID-19. I don't even know, what kind of heightened alert are we on, if at all? I mean, what do the Joint Chiefs talk about today? Do they talk about the fact that the entire world knows that the United States is in shambles, that it's in chaos, that we're weaker and poorer and sicker than we've ever been before, and that maybe some interested party might want to take advantage of our posture in the world, which is pathetic? I mean, what do the Joint Chiefs talk about today? And who, if Donald Trump should become, I don't know, ventilated, or something happens where he has difficulty breathing and they have to put him on a ventilator, or, who gives the order to protect and defend? Or where do we go for, what does the military, who do they listen to? And this is crazy. This is so obscene because it was preventable. And we have a racist lunatic as president of the United States who is now infected with the deadliest virus that we've ever seen. Holy crap. Marty in Maine.
Hi, Randy.
Hi,
Thank
Marty.
you for another one. Hi, I'm back. Thank you for another wonderful show. I'm calling from Trumpland.
Where are you in Maine?
I wanted to... So I'm near Windham, Maine, which is just let's say 26 miles northwest of Portland.
Oh, I know
Maine,
where
in
you
the
are.
Lake
You have
region.
big traffic jams there in the summer. I know where you are.
Come visit Randy. We'd love to have you here. You'd
I've
be a
actually
great
been there.
influence.
I've been there. I've been to Windham. I've been to, all over, the Portland area, because I thought maybe I would move there. My brother-in-law and his wife live there. I shouldn't say, but it's a tiny, teeny, tiny town outside of Portland in the woods. So it was too woodsy for me. They literally live in a log cabin, and so I started looking in your area. I started looking in Windham and Freeport, and
Well, this isn't actually truly my area. I was in New York City for 22 years while you were there as well. And I really enjoyed it there. This is a big change to be here. It's temporary for me. My folks are up here.
Oh, okay.
But I've been here for a few years and I've learned it. So the reason I'm calling is I have some thoughts about how to communicate effectively with people who are in this region. But also I wanted to ask for your advice when you have basically all your relatives are in Pennsylvania and they're voters and they tend, they're tied into religion pretty heavily in their particular churches. And they're Trump voters right now. But I can hear a slight wavering. And I'd like your advice on good communication techniques. I will tell you what works up here with strangers and people in the community. This is very effective. If you walk in and sort of sort of bow your head a little bit as though you're not the alpha dog, and you say, I'm really sorry if you can't understand me. I'm having a little trouble with the mask right now. I'm really sorry. I just want to respect you and make sure I do all the right things, and just out of respect for you. And then suddenly they warm up, and I'm just finding them receptive, willing to speak with you a lot more, and willing to understand your perspective. And you might be able to say something about, well, I'm just concerned, about you don't have to show symptoms to do this. I just want to do the right thing. And it seems to work. So the relations are very smooth. Now, that being said, you often see the opposite here. Say there's a marina nearby, and you see the Trump-Pence flag flying just below the United States flag. There's no state flag. So this is a little off-putting. Now, it doesn't. It's not always respect both ways, but when you offer and when you don't take the alpha position, I think people are willing to consider you. Now, that's strangers. So now, what about family? What would you recommend there?
As far as what? What do you want to do? You want to extract them from the cult?
Yes. Well, they're voters.
Well,
they're voters
okay.
in Pennsylvania,
If they're religious, you're saying they're what? Christian?
They are. Yes, they're Christian.
Okay, so there's a really good article they need to read, and you can, respectfully submit it to them and say, wow, I thought of you when I read this, because it must be so horrible for you to be used this way by a man like this. And it's called Trump Secretly Mocks His Christian Supporters. It's in The Atlantic. And it is Donald Trump calling Christianity a racket. It's Donald Trump, talking about Christians with cynicism and really deep contempt. It's mocking the whole faithful. It's mocking the religious. It's dismissing Christians in very cartoonish, recognizable stereotypes. And let them see what this man says. Let them understand that this man is mocking them. He thinks that they are stupid and that they are followers and that he's the real leader because his religion is money.
I will give them that. I will let them know.
He actually said. He was coming back from a meeting with pastors. I don't know if you remember when they all laid hands on him.
Yes.
He actually is quoted saying, "Can you believe this bullcrap?" Except he says it. And then he says, listen, I've been talking to these people for years. I let them stay at my hotels. I play the game. Let them know. Let them know. Have a good weekend.